If content is king, then does that make data queen? We've studied over 7,000 tweets during one of the most important weeks of the year, Customer Service Week, and we have takeaways for corporates and insights on customers. You're watching Digital Africa. My name is Kaigwa. Stick around to learn what we know and what you can do about it. The Institute for Customer Experience every year for the last 4 years has taken and asked all Kenyan companies, big and small, public and private corporations, even the public sector, so across the industries, and asked them to take 1 week of focused efforts on appreciating their customers. In 2017, we decided to go on to cyberspace and see not just what they would do and what they would say, but how their customers responded. During that week, we amassed, got, and analyzed 7,369 tweets to be exact. And these are the insights that we got based off of that. When it comes to looking at the corporates or the corporations, they were very active and they did a number of things over that week to catch not only our attention, but the attention of the Institute for Customer Experience, and ultimately gave themselves an advantage at the gala awards that happen at the end of the week. The companies that we want to actually showcase first are the Institute for Customer Experience itself, because they, by and large, were the highest volume in terms of corporates and their posts. They posted the highest amount with 79 posts over that week and amplifying dozens and dozens of companies who are participating in CS Week. They stood head and shoulders above all the rest of the companies. The top corporation of that week was Telecom. They had 58 posts according to our data study, and that gave them this edge of where they prompted and invited their customers to engage with them. However, in terms of the impact, that's a different story. But if we're looking purely at the volume of posts that they published during this week aimed at impacting and interacting with their customer base, it was 58, putting them at the #1 spot as a corporate. And that's if you take out the institute itself, who had slightly more, but they were ultimately amplifying and posting and the custodians of the actual week itself. So Telecom were first. Second on the list was KCB. So the bank and financial services organization was in second place with 48 posts on Twitter, or tweets if you like, over that week. They went on to amplify dozens more, but the reason that they stand out to us is that they actually use the power of user-generated content. You might be familiar with KCB and some of the tongue-in-cheek or meme-based and real-time marketing initiatives that they do. So this particular week, we thought that they took the crown because they not only had a high volume of posting that amongst their corporate peers put them in second place after Telecom, but they also went out with a post that was actually there to engage and get their audience involved. This particular post was "Tweet like KCB." And so they put up an image of a bird and said, you know how we talk in a very funny, very unexpected, very quirky way. Why don't you interact with us? And as a result, they got dozens and dozens of everyday ordinary people who took the reins and the wheel to tweet on behalf of KCB or to speak as though they were the brand. And so they were able to both make it a moment where they interacted and participated as part of the larger week, but ultimately turned it into the customer's day by getting them to do the work for them and interact. And this is in addition to all of the various comments, complaints, and compliments that came in that week. So our focus is on what they did different to any other organization this week, and that's why to us, they stand out. Huduma Kenya is an initiative by the government of Kenya to bring world-class customer experience into the public sector. And so this means the streamlining of certain operations, paperwork, and requirements, and bringing these all into one single environment where you can walk through and visit various counters and desks and get the service you need, either online or offline. They are third amongst the corporates after Liquidcom in first place and KCB Group in second place. And to see a public sector organization who went out and took this week seriously enough to make sure their voices were heard, encourage us about the future of customer service, customer experience at a world-class level on digital platforms from the public sector. So they are in third place. In fourth place, but not last place, fourth place of the top brands during Customer Service Week 2017, we have Kenya Airways. Now, airlines in particular get a really hard time, and that's because if you're thinking about digital strategy, they're one of the few sectors where the entire customer experience or customer journey can be started and closed online or using online channels. So when people are stuck or delayed or anything happens, it tends to be a time where they can express and vent their frustrations there. In this particular case, we had to weed out all of those mentions and focus exclusively on everything to do with CS Week 2017, Customer Service Week 2017 by the Institute of Customer Experience. And in that case, we found that with 29 posts over that week, Kenya Airways took advantage of their high volume of tweets and their large content calendar, both doing customer experience and added to that with making sure that they got offline interactions with customers during that week and just tried to have a couple initiatives that recognize their customers. And this is despite all of the typical volume of complaints, compliments, and comments. So they came in fourth place. When it comes to studying Kenyans on Twitter and how they interacted with these brands, one of the things that we were very surprised by is the user-generated content. As you heard, KCB took the crown with this. They had 1,116 comments related to Customer Service Week, and that gave them the edge in terms of not just the posts they did, which we just heard, but ultimately them getting their actual user base, subscribers, and their audience to interact and engage with them. So they take the cake not just because they had a good enough volume of content they made on their own, but that they turned it into the true power of social media, which is they had their audience interact and engage on their behalf and with them, and that resonated beyond just the week itself. If you've been watching these videos, you know there's a bonus tip, and the bonus tip for this video is that the thumbs of customers speak the loudest. Androids during this particular week were the overwhelming tool of choice to interact with these brands. However, as a point of caution, even though about 60% in total of all the tweets, all the 7,000 plus that we interacted with, were sent from mobile devices, the data also confirms that customers were very discerning. And that meant that some of the brands, even the ones that I've mentioned, they actually tried gimmicks that were unscalable or that were not in line with the actual day-to-day brand experience. They may have done it just for this week, just for the cameras, but customers saw through that. So the genuine takeaway here is that marketing is the promise you make. Customer service is the promise you keep. You have to be consistent week in and week out, whether there's a gala dinner on one week or not. And customers see right through that. So we'll be here again to tell you the insights next year. But if you're looking for a takeaway, it's that offer a consistent week-to-week experience and celebrate them every week. They're the reason you're in business, aren't they? Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'll ask you to hit that subscribe button now. If you're not part of the 1,700 plus community of people who get our weekly newsletter called The Letter N, I'd love for you to join that group, and I'd love to just send you some of what my team and I are thinking each and every week. And lastly, what do you think about customer experience? What does the data say? How do you feel? We heard that the content is king, but the data is queen. What do you think of that? Let me know in the comments. And if you found a brand that you thought did a great job, did a bad job, we have some of the data, so be sure to check out the infographic, and that's also in the description below, and let me know what you think in the comments. One more thing before I forget. If you're wondering where I am right now, I'm at Meta, the home of entrepreneurs. And if you've never heard of Meta, you'll find a link to them below, and I think you'll want to come visit, right?